From the Standing Stone Farm Studio right outside downtown Nashville, it's time for the most ridiculous sports podcast in the world. So sit back, relax, and listen as Bobby Butler and Brandon Bond crack open a cold one and talk all things hockey, pop culture, and complain about everyday situations. It's the Pucks Out Podcast on the Penalty Box Radio Network.
Welcome into the most ridiculous podcast in sports and pop culture. I'm Bobby. He's Brandon.
Hey-o.
You can find us on the three majors of social media at Pucks Out Pod. Now let's crack open this cold Mayday beer and let's get after it. Don't forget, Pucks Out is powered by Mayday Brewery, the official beer of Pucks Out Podcast. Join them every Tuesday for Singo and Thursday for Bingo. And on December 28th, we'll be there yet again. It will be a holiday and a New Year's edition of Pucks Out Does Bingo over at Mayday. So make sure to come on down, make some friends, enjoy some drinks in a family-friendly environment, and it's going to be a dope time. Check us out on Patreon and Twitch to support the show. How are you this week, bud?
Good, man. It's funny. Short weeks. I have a 3-day work week. They're always the longest. It's so funny. I don't know why the 3 days feels like it's 2 weeks, but you know, I guess it's still technically a short week. I technically don't lose any more time than the 3 days. It just feels that way. So
yeah,
pushing through, getting ready for Thanksgiving. But other than that, man, just hanging out. How about yourself, bud?
Doing well, man. You know, I'm off this entire week, so I've got like a nice 9-day vacation. The wife and I are leaving tomorrow evening to go to East Tennessee to visit family. Then we come back on Saturday, and I've got some papers to grade on Sunday, and then back to the grind next week. So just enjoying this week off, playing a lot of video games, watching a lot of TV, catching up. I think tonight after this, I'm gonna watch the season finale of Loki. Finally, it's the one it's the only one I haven't seen yet, so I need to watch that. And then
super good.
Yeah, so excited to finally get caught up on stuff.
Excellent. We'll have to do a Loki review whenever you get caught up, because it's super good, man. I very much enjoyed the ending. Liked where they went with it. I don't know if close out the story is the right. I don't know if they're trying to go for. I mean, you never know. They could definitely do another.
Tom Hiddleston said he will return as Loki. He didn't say he'll return in Loki, but he said he'll return as Loki somewhere
Loki,
in the timeline.
Yeah, Loki, the character definitely not done. We're not done with him at all. Definitely just they left it at a point where if they want to finish Loki, the show, it can be done right there, and it was a perfect ending and kind of wrapped up the show. But a whole lot they can do with him afterwards, should they decide. I feel like this is the least spoilery way I can talk about it, because it threw me for a loop myself. So let me know whenever you finish that up, and we'll have to chat shit about it.
Faux show. How about a quick fit check? I was looking for hats to put on, one I haven't worn in a while, and I found my dope ass St. Patty's Day Preds hat.
Nice, yeah. I just went with the Guinness hat. I mean, it's
nice.
It's truly a season of drinking, so went with the old Guinness hat here, and just got a regular shirt on. I just came in from work, so
yeah. But all right, let's jump into the news.
Everything you need to know about what's happening on the ice. It's time for news from inside the boards.
The NHL International Tournament has been scaled back to 4 teams. It is still set to take place in the 2025 season or off season. They didn't specify. I'm assuming during the 2025 off season. Right now, the 4 teams are the United States, Canada, Sweden, and Finland. It's one of those things where we are in such a toxic relationship with the NHL where just having 4 teams, I guess we can be happy about, even though they did take away the broader tournament.
Yeah, but I mean, we're hitting most of the marks on all the hockey players that people want to see. If you had to narrow it down to 4, we're pretty close. You don't have Russia in there, but obviously can't really. Russia's been canceled worldwide.
Yeah.
So like obviously, since the tournament's not being hosted in North Korea or China, obviously Russia not invited, probably not allowed to take part. So you still love something big like this. You always would rather do it smaller and it be well done than bigger and it just be a cluster all over the place, so definitely will be interesting to see. I mean, it's not really big, it's not a big tournament though, that's the big thing, is a 4 team. That is just a couple of matchups.
Unless they do best of 7.
That's just 2 games. Right. Yeah. It's just 2 games unless they do best of 7. But even so, I mean, it's just one, like we got a long road ahead of us, boys. We got 4 games to get to this tournament, dude. We got to win a total of 8 games here, so it just doesn't hit as hard as, checking off the boxes on a 16 type deal, or a big March Madness style tournament.
I think they should do a 64 team international tournament. I mean, if they have to salvage countries to just get a starting lineup, they got to do it.
Well, it's like that country. I think it was like Papua New Guinea or something like that, where they have programs to like include more countries in the Olympics, and this dude from this country who swam okay. He wasn't like a horrible swimmer or anything, but he was like a guy, but nobody else was in the leg. So dude won the leg. It was dominated it, dude. It was like I think it was like a 7 or 8, like, I don't know. I don't know how long things normally take, but it was like a substantial amount higher than like what they've been seeing. So so I can definitely see something like that maybe.
Yeah. We also have a new number 1 in the power rankings. The Boston Bruins have pushed past the Las Vegas Golden Knights for the number 1 spot on the power rankings. There's been a little bit of changes going around, but right now the Bruins are at 1 loss. With 17 games played, they're 13-1. Vegas with 19 games played at 13-4. So yeah, I mean, it's Boston seems like the team to beat yet again during the regular season.
I think Vegas is very happy about this. They saw a similar result last year, where they were pretty dominant, but were kind of overshadowed by some other teams. I think they'll accept that and just take another cup home. I don't think that they're worried about that President's Cup. For sure. Now that they've got to hold that Stanley Cup. So, but yeah, Bruins are out to a very strong start. I mean, I was a little lower on them than you were, most certainly. But I don't think that you were they were going to be 19-1 either. I think that there was a nice middle ground for the both of us. That I didn't think they were going to be 1-19. You didn't think they were going to be 19-1. We kind of met a little closer in the middle. So very surprised about this, but Bergeron is leaving. May have been a little overstated. Not that they're not missing him, but he brought a lot of leadership to the table and some other things, some intangibles that he left behind in good hands when it comes to having veteran leaders on that team. It wasn't like there was a leadership vacuum when he left. So maybe I overstated it a little bit. Most certainly more than you did, but I think that we were both kind of humbled by where they've been so far through a fourth of the season.
Yeah. Let's move into outside the boards.
Now that you know what's happening inside the boards, time for the rest of the headlines with news from outside the boards.
It is one of the best weeks in all of college football. It's rivalry week. Well, I couldn't speak there for a second, but it's the college football rivalry week.
The week when rivals play. That's how we're going to have to say it. I think both of us keep messing up rivalry. So we'll just say the week when rivals play one another.
The week when the two teams who hate each other the most take off against each other. So some of the big matchups are, we've got Ohio State, Michigan. I think that is the premier matchup. Unless you're an SEC guy, then you got Iron Bowl.
No. Even so, I mean, in terms of the college football playoffs, there's no question that Michigan Ohio State is the biggest rivalry game this weekend. Obviously, there may be more fun rivalries that you get to watch, and I'll prefer watching personally. But this has most certainly got the most implications in this game, and we get to see which one of these teams are for real. What are you thinking, man? You have an initial thought? I think it's at Ohio State. I think that's a big thing. I don't know, man. This is a very, very tough thing to decide. I mean, we have to wonder whether or not Michigan was able to gather the signs beforehand. If they were, see, it just depends on when their scouting report was. So,
also, it's in Ann Arbor, not in Ohio State.
Is okay. Then maybe I am looking at the wrong thing. I was looking at. Thank you. I'm glad we caught it early. So being there in Michigan, I think all of this controversy. Man, we're just gonna have to dumb down our words. All of this controversy is not hurting Michigan, but fueling it a little bit. So I'm gonna go with Michigan now that I know that it is in Ann Arbor this week. So,
see, I think honestly that Ohio State is just the better team. I understand that ESPN has Michigan as the favorite. I think Ohio State goes out there, and I think they win by 2 touchdowns. I think, and frankly, and I think that
win by 2 touchdowns in the big house, man. I mean,
I know, and I think Ohio State's going to win the national championship this year. I think they are the best team in the country, and I think they go out there and they prove it yet again.
Nah, I disagree. I disagree with that take. But we'll see. I don't necessarily disagree that Ohio State may go out and win this football game, because I'm not 100% sold that Michigan will win it. But it is being there. If that's the edge, that's probably where the favorite is coming from. But I will concede. You could definitely be correct. I don't think that they're winning the national title this year. I will say that.
I think. And on top of that, I think Marvin Harrison has himself a career day this weekend. I think.
Yeah,
I think he has 4 touchdowns.
4 touchdowns is a big number, man. That's a big number. I don't think that's happening. I think we're going to see more of a defensive matchup here, where I'm thinking. I don't know if you have the over under sitting there in front of you. But I'm thinking
47 or 46.
I was gonna say 44. I'll go the under of 47. Or 40. If you said 48, but 47.5, I think is the right number for the under. 46.5. If it's there, I think I'm gonna go under. I think I think you could probably even do better going even a little bit more under than that. But I think that's a good number for sure. So, we'll concede. I don't know about the winner. I'm feeling a little more strongly about the under. So maybe he gets 4 tutties and they still hit the under. So maybe we're both right, Bob. Generally, a guy goes off and drops 4 touchdowns in a game. Usually the under doesn't happen to hit because I mean, generally it's not just that one guy that's dominating either. So we will have to see, man.
Yeah, I mean, if I was pressed to pick a final, which I guess we can go ahead and do. We're not pressed to do it, but we're going to do it. I'm going to say 48-31 Ohio State.
Okay, yeah, you're gonna smash that over. I'm going. I'm gonna go 24-20. Michigan.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'm excited for this week of football. Obviously, we got the Iron Bowl. Alabama having a tough year. Maybe not as tough as the team that just lost to New Mexico State.
Hey,
But,
got them
you
right
know,
where we want them. Hey, got
Hey,
them right where we want them, baby. No, this is an Iron Bowl. I don't even know
Yeah.
that we're even allowed to talk about what's happened in other games. It's not.
Oh,
the
no.
only
Yeah.
other
I'm just saying
games
what
you're
team,
allowed to
what they're
talk
coming
about-
in. Yeah.
Oh, sure. I'm saying the only other games you're allowed to bring up in reference to what's going to happen in an Iron Bowl, Bob, other Iron Bowls. That's it. That's the only thing that's acceptable is what has happened in a previous Iron Bowl. I'm not confident, Bob, but the thing is going and playing football, Alabama playing football at Auburn is always it's always a crapshoot for them. And I mean, this is a team that as far as how unconfident we started the year and then the confidence grew and then we went out and absolutely smashed Arkansas last week. You know, I'm glad that we didn't
2 weeks
record
ago.
last week. Well, yeah, that's what I meant. Not before. See, I'm imagining what I would have been saying. But yeah, we smashed them a couple weeks. So I'm really glad we didn't record because I'd absolutely been on a tangent about that. And like, we're looking good, dude. We're gonna go ahead and walk through New Mexico State, no problem. Going to the Iron Bowl, dude. We're feeling strong. So I'm really glad that I got to temper my expectations going into the Iron Bowl while we're recording and sending this out to a bunch of folks. So
Yeah.
anything can happen. Alabama is absolutely gonna smash on
Yeah.
Auburn, though. So
And here's the thing: if you take away a flub of like that game against New Mexico State, Auburn's schedule, Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, those are 3 tough weeks to like follow up with each other.
absolutely,
Texas A&M is a good team, so I mean that's a tough
Absolutely.
month.
No. See, that was my thing. Like even some of the losses we took, those are valid losses. We gave Georgia a game. You know, they came back. We couldn't hold it together, but lots to look forward to. And it was very much all shot down out of the air by an anti-aircraft cannon. As soon as we lose, we didn't like go in and just drop the game to New Mexico State. We paid them $1.8 million to come in and show us how to play football, dude. It was gross, bro. It was absolutely gross. So that being said, Auburn by 15 in the Iron Bowl. So,
And also, one thing you have to remember is if we use Vanderbilt like the punching bag of the SEC, Auburn had a better game against Vanderbilt than Georgia did. So that right there is a good little thing. I mean, Georgia won 37-20. You got Auburn, I think it was like 31-15. So, I mean.
Yeah, rocked them pretty hard for sure. Yeah, like you said, man, there's not a ton of on the line with a lot of these games. Kind of hit the main ones. I know something that you'll want to talk about that you're probably still not ready to hear, Bob. Your team, James Madison, not going to a bowl game. The normal rules have been upheld. Do you feel bad about going to bat very hardcore? Did they end up losing to App State? I believe they did.
They did 26-23. They're still a 10-1 team.
Sure, but a 10-1 team that just lost to a D2 school going in knowing the rules. So I'm just saying it makes you feel a little less like, oh, we kept this darling out of there. People bring up, well, they beat good school. They beat Utah State, my dude. You know what
though?
Utah State.
If anything, I think, in fact, losing to Appalachian State is very much a D1 school thing to do. Think about all the great schools that have lost to Appalachian State.
That's a valid, fair point. That's a ranked school thing to do. And honestly, I'm changing course. I'm back on. I'm back on for apps for James Madison. No, and what you said is, hey, valid. They're looking for bowl teams. They're looking for all this. However, if they get a bowl game, what does happen is a team that is bowl eligible gets left out because they get to go to a bowl game. And none of these bowls mean anything. It's not like James Madison. We were talking about him going to the Natty. None of these bowls actually mean anything for anything. So that team that got bowl eligible and got to a point where they're going to get to go and have a whole extra month of practice, and you got a young school, I don't think it's fair. I also wouldn't think it would be fair to take the Bahamas Bowl away from that MTSU team or that Troy team or that whatever team, just because James Madison, showed up and won a few more games than them. Well, yeah, but they're not eligible to go. So why is my team getting knocked out of it? That would be my other argument. Also,
but at the same time, last year there was bowl games that didn't happen because some teams didn't accept the offer. So I feel like when we are literally not playing some bowl games, I feel like if a private company wants to invite two teams to come play in their bowl game,
it's not open bidding though. These bowls have select conferences that they can select from, and then occasionally they'll get an at-large bid where they can pick outside of it. So when the whatever Conference USA team denies it, it's not as though they just get the wide open. It's they got to go to the next Conference USA team or whatever. And so this is not done by the NCAA. Like the Franklin America, Music City Bowl is like ran by like an independent event company. And so like they may say James Madison ain't going to make us any money, or this other team ain't going to make us any money. So it may not be they couldn't find somebody to take it. They just then didn't offer it to.
But what I'm saying is, though, if a bowl game, like say, and we're going to use Music City Bowl as an example, say, and this isn't going to happen, teams will accept that bid. Yeah. But say the team's like, we don't want to travel there. They're like, well, what about James Madison? I mean, everyone else has declined. I feel like the NCAA shouldn't say them to come in and say, no, James Madison, you can't go there. Like if everyone else declined, they should have like a reserve list.
Right. Well, but the thing is, this is a 21 and up club, Bob, and James Madison is 20. So next year, when they turn 21, they're welcome to be in the club, and then anybody can invite them to dance or take a shot with them or whatever. But until they're accepted into the club, they're not in there for you to invite to a bowl game. That would be my returning volley to your argument of, well, why can't we invite them? Because that's illegal, sir. They're underage, and you can't give them a shot, dude. You can't bring James Madison in and touch a little tit, dude, because they're underage, and we don't know if they're gonna make it to 21 or not. I don't understand.
They should go play a bowl game in Europe.
I absolutely don't understand the why. There should be no waiting period on the bowl eligibility. 100%, Bob. I'm not arguing that point. I'm just saying. It wasn't like when they signed in, they're like, hey, you guys aren't eligible for a bowl this year. And I'm sure they were like, oh, hell yeah, no worries. We're not worried about that. But the same folks are now up in arms about the thing that they agreed to, so that's more of my thing is like life's not always fair and all the right decisions aren't always made. But when you agree to those decisions, let's not. We can be frustrated, you can be upset. You can apply for the exemption or whatever. But if you don't get it, it's not like you didn't know. That's all. That's a big thing.
No, for sure. Yeah. One cool thing I will say is that obviously College Game Day was at James Madison last week. It was the largest attendance at any College Game Day in history, which is a fucking dope thing for a school to pull off on their first College Game Day.
But also a lie, okay? That is, they're saying that everybody that was at or close to James Madison went to the College Game Day area, whereas every other school has a collection of people that go to College Game Day, and then everybody else is just on campus already tailgating and stuff. They're just not around so do they even have a spot to tailgate at James Madison? They're just now in the game, dude. Dude, you tailgate D2 games. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, we're talking about going by the rules of what's on the books. And I'm just telling you what the NCAA and ESPN has put on the books. This is the largest game day. So
well,
Madison's
yeah,
like, hey, if we're gonna play by the rules, then we're gonna take the wins by the rules as well.
ESPN is counting their own folks, and they're like, dude, this is it. They're like, look, we got some numbers to turn into you guys, and it's crazy, dude. There was 65 million people though. I don't know. It was the largest. It was the largest game day of any game day. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody's talking about the largest game day. This is James Madison propaganda right here, Bob. I refuse to believe it. I refuse to believe it. What was the number?
I'd have to look it up again.
If it's more people than go, I can't fathom that. I can't fathom
26,000 people.
There's no way. There's no absolute way that's the largest number of attendance of game day ever. Right? That sounds ridiculous.
I'm
How
looking
do you
up for
even
the
count
approximately.
it? How do you even count?
I think,
do they have the camera guy goes over and they just beep, 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 beep? This is a lie. This is a lie.
Okay, well, I'm
not saying you're telling the lie.
I'm just telling you the information.
You're passing along the information. I'm saying the information they're passing along is wrong. I'm not saying you're defending the information. I'm just saying it doesn't sound fishy to you as well, Bob, that right before the campaign to try to get them into the bowl, we have the largest ever game day attendance ever. No, I can't believe it. 26K.
My job is to tell the news.
You're just reporting the news. You're just reporting the news, bud. I'm not. You're the only person here for me to talk loud at.
If I had to guess, okay, so prior to this, Missouri had 18,000 fans in attendance in 2010. That was the previous record.
I'll believe game day. They know how to count. They got this. I don't believe it, but I just find it hard to believe.
James Madison's attendance was huge. It was huge. It was the biggest.
So
ever.
big. The biggest attendance that any college game day's ever seen ever.
All right, let's move.
Appalachian State killed James Madison like a dog.
I demand a recount of the scores.
Hey, if Appalachian State plays James Madison again and beats them, I'll concede. I'll concede that they deserve to be in a bowl game, Bob. But until then, we're just gonna have to wait and see.
All right, so let's go over the rankings real quick. The college football playoff rankings. These are not the AP rankings. So at number 1, we have Georgia, 2, Ohio State, 3, Michigan, 4, Florida State. And then rounding off the undefeateds at number 5 is Washington. I don't think there's really been much movement since last week in this top 4 or 5.
Yeah, Georgia and Ohio State flipped. But
that was prior to this week. Yeah, I think they went into this previous weekend like that.
Missouri with the big jump to 9.
Oh yeah, from 14 to 9.
Yeah. So that's a fair jump right there. Louisville up 1, Oregon State up 1, Penn State down 2. So, but Ole Miss down from 9 to 13. But yeah, man. This weekend is going to be pretty telling. Georgia has a big matchup in Georgia Tech, so we'll see. But I mean, hey, we joke, but it's rivalry weekend, and anything can happen on rivalry weekend. On the weekend when rivals play, anything can happen. And then you have 2 and 3 playing one another this week. So it'll be interesting. It'll be very interesting.
So do you think that no matter what, 2 or 3 gets booped out of the top 4 or 5?
No. I think if it's a similar, I think it depends on the game. If we got a 24-20 game either way, or or like I think you were a little further out, but even a high scoring affair that's pretty close. I don't think you see a big drop. I think if Michigan loses, they'll drop to 4. If it's a close game, this is all my theory. If you go out and you lose by 1 to number 2 in the country, why do you drop 4 spot. That doesn't make any sense. You already had them ranked higher than me. I think Ohio State in a close battle will drop to 3. I think that they do. If one of them goes out and gets smashed, I think that it's and Florida State, Washington win, then it's no question, right? One of the two has to move out behind the others. I think Ohio State stays in at 4 even if they get smashed for some reason, because I mean, people love them. But there's no way that you keep either one of these teams if they go out and get handled pretty good by the other. You can say any longer that they're a playoff team. Like, why should they get a chance to even play the other team when they had their chance? So, Florida State is an interesting team to me. I'm not completely sold that they are a playoff team. Who they've played, and sometimes they haven't come out, and played a complete game. But yeah, I mean, it kind of just depends on what happens in that Ohio State-Michigan game, really.
Yeah, they have a good win against number 5 LSU. I mean, so that's a strong win. They've got a win over Clemson, who beat Notre Dame. They've got a top 20 victory against Duke. They play Louisville next week after this game against Florida. I think they are one of those teams that their schedule is okay. They have to be undefeated to get in the top 4. I mean, they're not dropping the game. Yeah.
I think that's where I'm going with it, is like, I have nothing that I can say against it. They've played enough of a schedule to where they're not just walking into this, but I agree 100%. They're not a team that I feel can sustain a 1 loss, and people, Georgia goes out to Alabama and loses in a close game in the SEC championship. Maybe they sustain a 1-loss type situation, or Alabama gets in with that 1 loss. But I just don't think Florida State is that 1-loss team. They're not going to be able to play a very strong ACC championship game. So I'm in agreement with that. Whereas I don't necessarily agree with Washington. Depending on who they lose to and how they lose, that's a team that I've felt stronger about. They felt like a stronger team all season. And maybe that's the star power that's, kind of shining through. But I don't know. That's just my thought process.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking at Washington's schedule. I mean, they've got some. I mean, they have a top 10 win against Oregon. They have a ranked win against USC. They beat ranked Utah. They beat top 15 Oregon State.
And honestly, now that you say it out loud, Florida State definitely has the better resume. Honestly, it just feels like Washington is the stronger team, but maybe I'm just misguided in that. Maybe it's because I hate Florida State, dude, and I just never want them to be good. Man, I can admit that sometimes my bias may creep in, and I'm not aware of it. So,
But all right, that wraps up our discussion of rivalry week. Let's move into our main topic of the day, which is the yearly Pucks Out Thanksgiving NHL review. We have decided that American Thanksgiving is the time when we can properly start judging teams for how they've been doing so far throughout the regular hockey season. We've already talked about the Bruins a little bit. They're off to a very hot start, number 1 team. Let's start off talking about the people at the bottom of the league, San Jose Sharks. They are sitting at 7 points overall with only 3 regulation wins. I guess 3 wins. They only have 3 wins. 14 losses and 1 overtime loss. They are negative 49 in the goal differential. This is a team that is absolutely floundering.
It's not good.
And
it's not good at all.
Yeah, this is bad. I don't know where they go from here.
Not much lower, that's for sure. They can't go too much deeper. Just a team that looks bad, a team that is tanking. I think that we're all in agreement that they're understood that they're tanking. So Yeah, not much else to go up. Now the bigger surprise, I don't think that's a big surprise. San Jose being that. I mean, they're bad. They're historically bad,
Yeah.
and maybe that's a
This
bit
next
of
team we're
a
going to talk about,
surprise.
though.
But yeah, the Oilers that we move into 5-11-1 right now, 11 points. They have less points than the Blue Jackets do right now. This is a very big surprise. You have a note on here: third worst team in the NHL behind Chicago, and obviously the Sharks. Nobody's going to be
the third
better.
worst. The third worst team ahead of Chicago, I guess. Not
that's what I
behind
said.
Chicago.
Yeah, there's only two teams
sorry,
behind them as for
Yes,
being
yes.
the worst. Yeah, so
Yes. Okay.
so San Jose and Chicago, two teams you expected to be bad. Edmonton was not a team that you expected to be bad. This is a team that usually kind of pushes towards the end. I feel they will not be the third worst team.
They're really going to have to push it, though.
That's what I was going to get at. I think that they're going to make a strong push, but you get too far behind. I don't know that this is a playoff team. It definitely could be. This is still early enough to kind of right the ship, but you can't wait too much longer, right? But I mean, you're gonna be on the outside looking in, or being one of those teams that's having to win the last 3 games while this team loses and this team ties and this team wins. It's not a spot that you want to be at, especially in a situation where you're paying $80 million for 2 players, and the very least thing those guys can do is get you to the playoffs. So
yeah,
it'll be an interesting road for the Oilers. Another team, I love that you put this team on our review. Why don't you go ahead and bring up the opposite side?
Yeah, the third best team in the NHL right now, the Vancouver Canucks, sitting there at 13-5-1 with 27 points. They're ahead of the Rangers, a team that we thought was going to be very strong. They have a plus 32 goal differential. I'm looking right now. I think they have the best goal differential in the league. Boston has plus 23. Yeah, I mean, they are a hot team right now.
I was quickly looking over a shot percentage versus save percentage chart. And it's what is an axis, an axis chart type of deal.
A Y chart?
And a Y chart. I couldn't remember it's got the X and Y axis. So you got it because I said the main word. But the Vancouver Canucks are up for both categories are up in the Wayne Gretzky quadrant and area of and you know what that means because we've seen the Y graph for his points level. So a very strong team, and that just reminds me of something that I'm very thankful for this year, Bob. I mean, JT Miller. I went what I felt was a little high on him in some drafts, but I got him quite a few places, and this man is like the number one player in most of the fantasy leagues that I have him in. So I'm thankful for this guy. They are absolutely tearing it up. They're doing a lot of what we thought that it could have been last year. I think that we thought strongly on them. Brock Besser is absolutely killing it. But let's bring up, this is crazy. We're talking about all these folks. We're talking about, all of these big time stars. But why is Quinn Hughes leading the league in points right now, Bob? over
I did
Pasta,
not know that.
Over Pasta, and over his teammate there, JT Miller. 30 points for Quinn Hughes, 29 for Pasta and JT Miller. So, I forgot to tell you, Bob. You know who's sitting tied at number 3 with Nikita Kucherov at 28? A little guy named Elias Pettersson. He's on up there as well. So we have
That's wild.
A team that is absolutely dominating. Brock Besser has 22 points. So let's go into some goals. Yeah, Brock Besser's tied for second with 13 goals behind only Sam Reinhart, a crazy name there at 13 goals. But Kucherov, guy you expect. Austin Matthews, a guy you expect, and then Kyle Connor, at least a guy that we know can score goals and can score at a pretty good clip. So it's good to see Brock Besser, Elias Pettersson, Quinn Hughes, JT Miller really step up and do what we kind of really thought that they could have done last year. This is a very big situation. I think we both kind of mentioned this could be the Devils situation that we talked about, where maybe we were just a year too early on our analysis. Maybe we need to realize, like, hey, I really think this team is on the
We're
come
too
up.
good.
We should say, well, no, I think we should say we are ahead of our time next year, and write a note. Hey, Vancouver is going to be next year. They're going to be good, but not this year because we think it's going to be this year. So, yeah, love Vancouver. Love what they're doing. I'm going to ask you, do you think they can keep it up?
Do I think they can keep it? I think
it's a loaded
not at the
question.
pace they are right now.
Let me split this question up. Pace, you obviously just answered that. Pace that they're going at now, do you think they're going to continue to be the third best team in the NHL?
No, I think that the only reason they're the third best team is because they are getting career numbers from multiple guys. I don't think that's sustainable. Sure. Okay. I think this is very much a
this is a playoff team.
Yeah, I think this is a playoff team. I think they can be competitive to win the Pacific. I think, it's going to, I think it is a 3-horse race between the Golden Knights, the Canucks, and the Kings, but in reality, I think this is a 2-horse race. I think it'll come down to the Canucks and the Golden Knights in the head-to-head matchups. And if they can keep these, if they can get a good bit of their games against the Golden Knights earlier in the season when they're on this hot streak, I think that this will work for them. I think I think they're going to cool down after the All-Star break, though. I don't think, because these numbers are just not sustainable.
Okay, I don't think it's in the cards. I don't think it's in the cards for Quinn Hughes to lead the league in points all season. We got Correct. 3 guys that are sitting right up at the top of the charts for Vancouver: Quinn Hughes, JT Miller, and Elias Pettersson. What percentage? What are your thoughts? You don't have to give necessarily a percentage, but give me your thoughts. What any of these 3 guys are at the end of the year still in the top 6 of points scored? What is your likelihood? What would you give that as a thought process?
That any of them?
Any of the 3 of these cats in the top 6 people, not necessarily, they were tied for 6. The top 6 people point scorers.
Oh, I think it's a good likely chance that one of these guys will.
Who do you think it is?
I'm going to say JT Miller.
Yeah, that's the easy choice for me as well.
I think it's hard for a defenseman to
agreed
keep these numbers up.
Quinn Hughes.
I think it's going to be JT Miller.
Quinn Hughes. You think he's a point per game player?
Quinn Hughes, points per game player. Yes.
Okay. Stop me when I'm too much. 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87.
I think 84.
84. Okay. That's a good number. I think if it's a slower year, he's definitely, if he can keep up this pace, he's definitely in the running for a Norris. Do you agree with that? If he can keep up the pace, obviously, if he keeps the pace yes. that he's going currently, he can win the Norris. If he drops 110 points,
I mean, he could be a Hart Trophy contender if he keeps the pace up.
He absolutely okay. So feeling strong on them. Team that you were stronger on in the beginning, the 1-loss Bruins. We talked a bit about them when you brought them up in the news segment. Anything in particular you had in mind or wanted to talk about while bringing them up?
I think that they've got some off ice drama going on with Lucic. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Obviously, if they lose him, he pled not guilty to domestic assault, so we're going to see what happens with that. He's a big player for them, but I think that they could still keep it going. I think this is just a good overall team, and I don't see this stopping. Do I think they can sustain those 1 loss? I'm trying to remember what they had last season. Let me go look at the standings. Look at what they had last season. Did they have 19 losses last year or less than that?
Yeah, it was not a lot.
They had 12 losses last year, 135 points. It's. I mean, that is such a high number of points. It's hard for me to sit here and say, yeah, they will get close to matching that. But from what I'm seeing,
it's not fair.
I mean,
it's the record,
yeah.
so it's not going to happen for sure.
Yeah,
Hey,
it's not going to happen.
On pace.
But
they're on pace
yeah.
to make it happen, though. So
yeah,
are we
I mean,
crazy? So
it come the All-Star break, if they're sitting at 3 losses, and then maybe they will double down and beat their own record.
Yeah, I can't disagree. I mean, they're sitting at 1 loss right now at Thanksgiving when you and I have decided we can determine if teams are for real or not. So team that I do want to bring up, I feel we would be remiss without discussing this particular team before moving along to games of the week. The Dallas Stars are looking very strong as well. Pavelski went there 3 years ago, and he was done. Remember, Bob? Pavelski was just basically an old guy that was just looking for a place to curl up and die and end his career, and has flourished in Dallas, is still continuing to do so. Ottinger is a solid player. They got a good overall squad there. They're sitting in number 1 in the Central right now. So, what are your thoughts there? 12-4-1 currently. So, with a plus 13 differential over Colorado.
Hold on, let me pull that up. I was looking something up else about the Bruins. Let me pull up the NHL schedule real quick on this other tab. It will let me. You said the Dallas Stars. Yeah, I don't know. I think Colorado is still the better team, but I mean, as of right now, it says Dallas, and so I think this is a good team. It's at 25 points. I mean, obviously this is a playoff team. I think they're a second round team. I don't think they have the star power to push much past that. But I mean, I like what I'm seeing from them.
Oh, excellent. Well, I have nothing else specific that
I will say that. Yeah, so I looked up last season at this time last year with the Bruins. November 21st, they had lost 3 games at this point in the season.
Okay,
last year.
So
doing much better. They are technically much better. They're on pace to do much better than last year.
All right. So historic season in the making again.
Yeah, so we'll see. I mean, that would be absolutely wild. Hey, I'm excited. Hopefully we see.
No, it's the Bruins.
But let's move into our games of the week.
Games of the week. Bobby and Brandon do the work, so you don't have to. The best from around the NHL and what to watch.
All righty, another solid week, game picking wise for me, and a decent week from you.
Yeah, brought it back a little bit. So, not too stressed as much anymore.
Yeah. Currently, I'm sitting at 10-2, and you are sitting at 4-8. You've got the numbers here. I believe I'm sitting at $15.54. Is that correct? And you're sitting at $8.16?
That's correct. And you didn't grab the amount that we're in. I think we are $12 in. I'm at $8.16.
Okay.
So I'm down a little bit, but I'm never out. I have been thinking about it, Bob, and the week was okay. It was not terrible, but it was strong for you as well. I'm thinking about going and getting another little minier Stanley Cup, and then we'll give that one out for this league, because I'll just say, well, this is a shortened season that I can't really agree that Bobby is better than me because we played X amount less games this season. So I'm still thinking about it. We'll kind of float closer to the time to give out the trophy, and then we'll determine. Yeah. We'll determine if we need to go get another one.
We'll vote on it, and if it's unanimous, we'll go ahead with it.
Absolutely, and I will. But see, as the proxy of the purchaser of the original trophy, I will just use my proxy to make the decision, knowing that it has been given to me as the original purchaser of the trophy. It's in the contract. You should have read the language when I sent it over. So, but good week, another solid week, but feeling strong. I didn't go 0-3, 2-1, 6 games back. That's nothing. 3 games a week is that's harder to come back from, but we got plenty of time where I feel a little.
All it takes is 2 bad weeks from me.
All it takes is a couple bad weeks. That's so agreed.
Yeah, but all right. I'll kick us off on Friday. I've got Toronto heading into Chicago. I'm going to keep it simple. I'm taking Toronto money. I'm going to take the Toronto puck line.
I like it. I again, being behind on money, I'm just gonna go puck line straight up, Bob. Hope I picked the right, winner. I got the Stars going into Calgary. I'm sorry, the Stars are playing at home against Calgary on the 24th at 7:30 p.m. I'm gonna go puck line Stars here. I think I'm gonna try to go obvious choices here, which obviously means the losing teams that I've not picked are gonna win this week. So go ahead and fade me, folks.
All right. My second game of the week, I've got the team that we've talked a lot about, and I think this is the best matchup, maybe of the week, of the 3 days. I've got Boston going into New York against the Rangers, and I'm taking the Boston money line.
Yeah, love that pick. Love that game. I had to go a little more conservative with my game picks this time. I went Sharks Canucks. And mostly because I wanted to get the Canucks on my schedule. And I didn't want that was what they had, but it also worked out because I'm going to go Canucks puck line, Bob. If there's a line that's been hitting, it's got to be that one. So I'm going to go with the Canucks. And that's not the Canucks puck line that's been hitting. It's the puck line against the Sharks is what's been hitting. So I'm not even betting on the team that we're super high on. I'm just betting against the Sharks.
Yeah. Let's see. Why don't you give us your last game of the week?
Yeah. 1 p.m. game on the 26th. Blackhawks and the Blues, a good Central Division matchup. I thought about taking the underdog Blackhawks here. I'm just gonna stick with the Blues. Blues puck line here. I think that they're gonna go in and they're gonna dominate on that Sunday afternoon, mid-afternoon game. So,
all right, nice.
What do you got left?
And for my last game, I'm finally taking a home team. I've got Columbus going into Carolina, and I've got the Carolina puck line.
Okay. All right, another solid week. We got plenty of sports this week. You've football Thursday, Friday, college football Saturday, NFL football Sunday. We got lots of hockey all weekend. There's no Thanksgiving games on for hockey for the NHL, but we got Friday, Saturday, Sunday loaded up. I even think there's 5 games on Sunday, Bob, which is always a rarity because normally they have like half of one. They have one team go out and do like a team skate, because it's like a contract fulfillment or whatever. So, lots of great sports. What a great time of year for sports. The first time I think that we've ever had a Friday, Black Friday NFL game. So that's going to be sick. Thanks, Amazon, for spending your massive loads of money to purchase this. So.
Yep. But all right, let's head into joke of the week.
The weird.
Corey Perry.
Yeah, I don't like that. Wild. I think the first read was a good one. Now I'm overthinking it. Outlandish.
Each 6th chick sat on a stick. Little tongue twister.
And downright dumb.
Kidding me.
It's time for the joke of the week.
So, probably one of the just absolute American stupidity coming out in this one. I'll read the headline real quick. An American woman said she was shocked to discover that Alaska isn't actually an island, calling for an overhaul of the school curriculum. A woman said she was shocked to discover that Alaska is not an island and that it's possible to drive to it during a conversation with her Canadian boyfriend. A TikToker, Sabrina Abreu, asked people not to call her a stupid American, and she admitted her mistake. Everyone knows that Alaska's cold, she
Stupid
said.
American.
But did I know that it was connected by land? No.
To be
of course,
fair
she's not,
to Sabrina,
she doesn't want to blame herself.
to be fair to Sabrina, it is not part of the 48 contiguous states, and therefore it may be touching other land and not classified as an island. But if you're not America, you don't exist, and therefore it touching Canada means that it's an island for sure. No, it's sad. It's more sad than it is fun. You know, like, come on, man. Like, you've never seen a map, dude. Like, it's just very frustrating. But continue. There's more. This is not just, I made a mistake. Haha, I'm silly.
Yeah, in fact, it's the very opposite of that. She will blame everyone but herself. She then blames the school curriculum and that the schools failed her. Well, Brandon, let me ask you something. As you went to public school, did you know that Alaska was connected to Canada?
I absolutely did know. And I saw this. I've seen this also, this TikTok thing going around or whatever, this social media thing. Like, can you name a city can you even name a city in Alaska? Saying it like,
yes.
Can you even name, like, it's like a band, like, yeah, like I can name like, yes, like Juneau, Fairbanks, you know, like there's like lots,
Anchorage.
you know, like Anchorage, there's lots. I mean, not like lots. Like, I don't know like everything about Alaska, but like, what do you mean? Can I name a city? Like, yeah, they made us learn a city. Like, so they made us do it. Like, they had a song for it. They made me like color a thing and be like, you know, it's Juneau. We literally had a whole saying for Alaska, and it's okay. So, yes, I know where it is, and I'm
really happy you didn't say, "Ooh, Bob." It's now a good time to tell you.
no. But my thing would be, even if you didn't, guess what happened in public school on numerous occasions, hundreds of occasions, thousands probably. We went to school for almost 18 years. What happened? They showed you a freaking map, dude. They literally, we had
they're hanging up
class
somewhere.
you walked in. Every single class you walked in had a big circular thing. And I know you didn't know what that was, but it was called a globe, man. And like, you probably more identified with the flat one on the wall. And so that's okay, though. Yeah. It's still, even if you think the earth is flat, Alaska is still not an island on that flat earth. So,
yeah.
What a joke,
and what this
dude.
tells me is that I absolutely need to go because I haven't gone ahead and spent the money on it yet because I'm a first year teacher. I'm now making it a priority. I'm getting a map in my classroom. I don't have a map in my classroom right now because I don't haven't spent the money on one yet. There was one in there when I got in there, but it was all ripped up and drawn on, so I took it down.
You should have left it. It was drawn on because that is how the global geopolitics works, Bob. It's not a clean and simple, quick map.
To be fair, what was drawn on there was a big thing around Alaska saying, "What is this? Why is this?
What is this?
It should be down there."
And they had colored some blue in between Canada and Alaska, and we're like, "Told you." You know what I'm saying? Hey, Bob, I'll give you one piece of advice when shopping for maps. Make sure, because there's a whole subset of map communities, apparently, that leave New Zealand off the map completely. Like
100%.
Accidental, make sure you get a New Zealand map. Or, honestly, get one without it, but just know that it's not there. And when somebody says, "Where's New Zealand?" you say, that doesn't exist. That's not.
I actually saw a map that someone has, it was a joke map that you could buy. It was a novelty, but someone actually did buy it for one of their classrooms. I saw it online. It's a map that, usually it's like America centered. Well, it's a map with New Zealand centered, and so it's mainly just the Pacific Ocean.
So
with
just
New Zealand.
like mostly, that's dope. That's super. Yeah. It's only got New Zealand. I guess you got a little bit of Australia in there, some Asia. Yeah. But can you imagine what this lady would say? This lady already has a lot to say about the curriculum that she was definitely taught. She was not taught this. But like, if she found out that America wasn't the center of maps that are being shown in classrooms, she would flip out, bro. She'd absolutely lose her lid. And even though never looked at the map once herself, she would be very mad not knowing. She didn't even know what New Zealand is, dude. She'd have no clue. You'd be like, that's Texas. That's a map of Texas right there.
Yeah. She also did not realize, and this is just kind of continuing on, which this is something that, yes, is stupid, but this is more of a reasonable mistake that people can make, and I say reasonable in quotations marks. She thought she didn't know how big Alaska was. She thought Texas was bigger than Alaska, which is stupid, but I guess technically more reasonable of a thing to be wrong about.
But see, when they teach you the states and they teach you geography, they teach you like 3 facts, Bobby. Yeah. They teach you like 3 facts. They compare Texas to everything. If you're about to talk about a European country, best believe we're about to fit that European country inside of Texas, dude. And then they're going to tell you how many times it can fit in Texas. When we're talking about Russia, you compare it to Alaska because that's the only thing that we have that's comparable to Russia and its size. Like, yes,
and Sarah Palin represents both Alaska and Russia.
It makes it easy because of
boom. That's a 2010 joke for you.
See, the thing is, you wouldn't even realize that I knew this, Bob. But what about Beringia, dude? You know what I'm saying? That's how she gets over there to her bosses, dude. Beringia. That's the land bridge, right?
Yeah. I don't know if that's how it's pronounced, but yeah.
I think it's Beringia. I might be wrong.
I always knew it as the Bering Land Bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, Beringia. Yeah, the ancient land bridge.
You
knew it wrong, dude. Where did you go? Did you go to public school with this lady?
Yes. I always knew it as the Bering Land Bridge because it had frozen over multiple times. So I think Beringia was Beringia at one time, but then over different ice ages it had different names. But anytime it froze over, it would always be called the Bering Land Bridge.
No, it never had. Bob, all those different ice ages that it happened, nobody's there to name it. It never had any. So we could say, well, it was called this.
I've seen Ice Age. First off, there was people there to name it.
Well, they didn't name things. No, they didn't call things. They were just happy to move forward, bro. They did not name it. And like, dude, we got to call this land. They didn't know to call it a land bridge.
You're telling me that Sid and Ray Romano did not name things?
I'm saying they did, but those are animals that are now extinct or basically just sleeping and living in trees, dude. Okay? So, woolly mammoths, like, do you think I'm going to... Yeah, bro, they probably recorded a lot of stuff, dude, all over the place. Like, just lots of copious notes.
Yeah.
Died off, dude. Never got to keep their notes, dude.
Yeah. That's why when they evolved into elephants, they knew they had to remember things and not write things down.
See, now you're getting evolution, bud. Now you're understanding it, dude. Now, so yeah. But yeah, honestly, little impressed by myself that I remember the land bridge that connects Alaska to Europe. You know what I mean? I'm not a good test. I'm not a good test of like, oh, do you know this, silly American? Everything that they said, oh, Americans never know this, dude. I'm always like, dude, I'm never getting caught on some video show of like, oh, do you know where to find Luxembourg? Yeah, you're damn right I know where to find Luxembourg, dude. I'm going to point you right to it.
All right, let's move into what's snapping your stick.
Bobby and Brandon are about to find out exactly what snaps their sticks.
All right, so it's Thanksgiving. I don't really like bitching about things over Thanksgiving because it's it's a time to give thanks. I will say that Thanksgiving travels, I'm not going to say it's fully snapped my stick, but it's cracking my stick. Traveling during the holidays is just a pain in the ass sometimes, man, because like I wish we could do it. I wish that like, at the beginning of the year, employers would say, all right, when do you want to take your Thanksgiving break within the month of November? And then families could say, hey, how about we do our Thanksgiving the first week of November rather than this week of November? And then it kind of gives everyone a month, everything. You're not getting backed up in traffic. It kind of just loosens everything up.
Sure. Love it. Love the idea. We should just go to a European style. Like, Europeans are like, hey, honey, where should we take our 4 months of vacation this year? The Americans are like, I really just hope that they actually are going to give me the sick day this year. Yeah. Thanksgiving travels terrible for everyone. Even if you're not traveling, you still have to, drive a few places, and so you have to deal with that. So I feel for you. I have to do my trek around Middle Tennessee, so not nearly as bad. Won't complain about that. Been playing some Assassin's Creed 1, bud. Loving it. Super awesome. Super.
The remastered or like the original one?
It's a 360 version. I bought it on. I mean, I don't have like an old disc or anything, so I'm guessing remastered that. But it's not like the newer version. It is the 360 version or whatever.
Okay.
Loving it. Love the simplification of it. Love the, not a whole lot to do. I've played Origins and Odyssey, so like those two games are very much the opposite of that, which is fine. Very much loved it. Yeah. Love those games. Love what they bring to the table, but not worrying about crafting a new weapon or, which weapons am I going to use, or are these weapon stats better than this weapon? It's just go, follow the story, stab. But I will tell you, it feels weird putting this on here on our Thanksgiving Snaps Our Stick. But the beggar women, dude, they're wearing me out, bro. Get out of my face, dude. I'm not giving you money, dude. I'm not giving you money. I'm going to throw you. See, the thing is, I've already got the achievement for throwing them too many times. So now it's literally just, I'm literally going to have to run for 15 minutes from guards and find a place to hide because I'm about to stab you in the face, lady. Live to fight another day. Live to fight another day. Go find another person to beg money from because I'm done with it, dude. I'm done. I'm done with the beggars. But I'll tell you, the crazy people, way worse, dude. Way worse. Very aggressive. Not a fan of the crazed lunatics. But at least they have an excuse.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I have breaking news that just got released about we now have a new number 4 in the college football playoff rankings that just got released about 5 minutes ago. So we still have Georgia. Yes, we have Georgia at number 1, Ohio State number 2, Michigan number 3, and Washington leapfrogs Florida State into the number 4 spot.
The funny thing is, we're not going live or anything anywhere, are we, Bob? Because, I mean, that would be the only logical excuse. They just heard our conversation. We talked about Washington probably being the better team. And lo and behold, before we even finish and release the episode, they're like, we don't want the boys to be honest, dude. They'll be honest.
Well, to be fair, you have to assume that the college football committee or the NCAA is part of the Illuminati, which Amazon's also part of, and so is Google. So they're all listening, and they just give our information over to the NCAA.
Potentially also on the board, we have the same FBI agent, and the FBI agent heard us talking about it, and they sent the stuff to the playoff board.
You think they just gave us one guy just because they're like, you
know
what?
Yours is way cooler, but mine is way more probable.
But all right, guys. Wait, did you want to finish that off about your Assassin's Creed?
That's it. Just hate them. Right. Just hate the beggars. Hate the crazies.
Assassin's Creed Mirage is out now, and it takes place in the same setting as Assassin's Creed 1. I'm excited to play that eventually. But all right, guys. Hey, have an amazing Thanksgiving. For Brandon, I'm Bobby. This has been another episode of Bucks Out Podcast. Join us again next week. See ya.
Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Pucks Out Podcast. To see what other ridiculousness the guys are up to, check them out on Twitter and Instagram @PucksOutPod.